What's going on, Falcon fan? This is Barcondo coming back at you with another video. So today, guys, I'm gonna recap the 2024 NFL Draft. Also, talk about good news we just heard about Kyle Pitts and extending him on his fifth year option. I don't think there's no surprise there. And then we're gonna talk about this whole process, right? It's been a lot of talk. Atlanta Falcons have been the talk of the draft this weekend, and in a good way and a bad way. So we're definitely going to talk about that and talk about what it means for Atlanta Falcons going into this season and how, us as Falcons fans probably, let's just trust the process and see how it turns out. So, guys, with that being said, if you have not already, go ahead and please subscribe to the channel. Please hit that notification bell so you know when I drop another video. Please hit the like button so I know you guys like to hear what I talk about. Then please share my video throughout the YouTube universe so more people can come in here and talk about. That's right, these Atlanta Falcons. So, quick news, guys. About 5 o'clock today, we got the news that Kyle Pitts has been fifth year option has been picked up. The Atlanta Falcons had to May 2nd to make that decision. I don't think it was any surprise that was going to be the case, even though for the last two seasons, Kyle Pitts has not really lived up into his potential. We know he had an injury, you know, the following season and last season kind of come back for the injury, still kind of lingered. So we kind of see the effects of and we didn't really know how extensive the injury was because he had an MCL and a PCL injury. So what's going on, James? What's going on, 330? We didn't know how extensive the injury was when it came to Kyle Pitts, but it looked like he's 100% back, removed from those injuries, and hopefully this year he can get back to his form he got in his rookie season when he went over 1,000 yards receiving. So um, I think it was a good for the Atlanta Falcons to pick him up. Since he's been a tight end, that franchise tag is only about $10 million. So that's a good, a cap number to have on your books going into 2025. So hopefully they can get a long term deal done with him as well. And you have to like the way um, this regime has kind of set up these first round picks. They got Kyle Pitts picking up his fifth year option, Drake London, just going into his third season. So a couple more years where they have to worry about that, and then you got Bijan right behind that. Um, you know, 4 years left. So, and then of course we just picked up Michael Penix and Penix Jr. And of course we know, he's supposed to be the long term, guy for us at quarterback. So we got another 4 or 5 years to wait on to pick up his fifth year option. So while the way I like the way they staggered out these first round picks and be able to keep all these guys, because a lot of times when you get talent here, on teams and stuff like that, especially your first rounders. Sometimes you can't keep all those guys because if you draft, just say you draft two studs in the same draft, right? Then you might have to make a decision on one or two, sort of like what the the New York Giants had to do. They had to make a decision on Daniel Jones and Saquon Barkley. They decided to give Daniel Jones the contract and you know give Saquon Barkley a franchise tag, and then the next following season, guess what? They couldn't come up with a deal because they had to pay Daniel Jones. So, um, like the way the Falcon got these contracts structured around, this year, like I said, we just picked up a Kyle Pitts fifth year option, but AJ Terrell is on the book for a contract. So let's see, can they get a contract done? We still haven't heard anything about that. Hopefully, we hear something, before the training camp. I don't anticipate the Atlanta Falcons to let AJ Terrell going into season. Still on that fifth year option. I think they hopefully they get something done. We just don't know for sure. But one thing about this regime, especially under Terry Fontenot, it's real quiet. We don't hear nothing until a deal comes out. So until that happens, that's where we're going to be at with it. But like I said, Kyle Pitts extended fifth year option for next season. He's still on his fourth year this year, so that's the next year. Hopefully they come up with a deal during the off season or during the season next year and sign him to a long term extension. and hopefully he be well deserved because he ball out this year, to be able to garner, you know, that contract that he's so desired to get his second contract, in the NFL, because a lot of players do not go to their second contract. We just saw Travis Kelsey sign a 2-year extension. I don't know the numbers on it, but that's kind of laying the groundwork what kind of deal he would get. But like I said, I don't know the groundwork, so I didn't really look and pay attention to that because right now I'm just focused on these Atlanta Falcons. So, but congratulations, Kyle Pitts. I don't think that was a surprise to anybody. I think we all figured that was going to be the case. But sometimes you just never know. But so we don't have to worry about that. Now we just need to worry about AJ Terrell contract and see where they stand with that as well. All right, guys. So that's what I got on Kyle Pitts. Let's get into the draft recap. And like I mentioned in the opening, that the Atlanta Falcons have really been the talk of the NFL world for the last 72 to 96 hours here, you know, during the draft. So everybody know what happened. It's not a surprise. I think you guys saw my last live when I went live, talked about it, um, and how I felt about it. And even as time passed, guys, my mindset on it is getting more and more like I kind of really like the decision to get Michael Penix. I still believe that it won't help us this year, so that's obvious, right? We expect Kirk Cousins to play well. I don't think drafting Michael Penix Jr., anybody felt like that we didn't want Kirk Cousins to play well. So we expect him to play well this season, and we expect to win NFC South. That's just the way it is. That's what when you get NFC South, you host a playoff game, and all bets are off from that. So that's the way we need to look at it. That's the way we need to go in this season. And but drafting Michael Penix, of course, he is the guy of the future. And you go back and watch more film on him, and his career, the things he had overcome. I really like the young man. I think he could definitely be a franchise quarterback for the Atlanta Falcons, here in the future. So, good pick for them. They don't plan to be in the top 10 for years to come. Let's hope they're correct on that. And if that's the case, you will never have an opportunity to get back up in the top 10 to draft your quarterback of the future. So, that's just the way the cookie crumbles. So you have to make the decision. And just to talk about Michael Penix decision of bringing him in, I like it. I like it because it's the conviction that Raheem Morris and Terry Fontenot is really showing to us, to the organization, to the ownership, that they plan to be here a long time, right? They plan to win. Like it's not they want to win, they plan to win. That's what I heard when they taught them interviews. Um, the plan is to create a sustainable winner for years to come, right? A sustainable winner for years to come. That's what they're trying to create. And if you listen to what they're saying, right now, we don't know if it's going to work, right? But just to have that mindset and saying that we're going to win, um, we're going to do something that we don't, and Arthur Smith loved to say it, right? We're not in group think and all that crap, right? So everybody around the NFL universe don't understand it, but those guys in that building, they all had the conviction to go with it, right? They knew the counteraction they was going to receive, right? From us, the fan base, from the NFL world, but because they plan to win for a long time, and you can hear it in Raheem Morris when he talks. He's confident. He believes he's going to win, right? And honestly, you got to have that mindset straight up from the jump, man. You got to be able to believe that you're going to get the job done. All right, we talked about it over and over again, right? Atlanta Falcons 7-10, 7-10, and 7-10 last season. We all believed, everybody believed that we had better quarterback play. We would have won the division, right? So guess what? We don't have that problem anymore. We got two quarterbacks on the roster. One we expect to play really well. Even though he's coming off Achilles injury, I think he's going to be ready to go. And So I like the decision more and more as the time passed. Yes, initial reactions, it was you had to get an understanding. Once you got an understanding, once you looked at the entire draft, you listen to these guys speak, and you listen to their confidence that they show about the potential of this team, this year and moving forward. You had to like that. So um, that's where I like. And James, you're right. I think he is a baller, man. I mean, he went undefeated this year, except losing in the national championship game. That that should speak volumes for throwing over 4,000 yards in back-to-back seasons. I mean, that says a lot about the things that Michael Penix was able to do. So, um, at the end of the day, he's here now. We're gonna have to get on board either way. Yes, I expect Kirk Cousins to play well. I hope everybody expects that too. And if that's the case, guess what, man? Michael Penix, he's gonna learn the offense. He's gonna be in the system for 2 years, learn the if ands and but. He's gonna get good tutoring from a professional that knows how to know this offense in and out because he's been in his whole career and Kirk Cousins. So that's where Michael Penix is going to get, right. And then when he decided to hang up his cleats, Michael Penix can jump right in and take off where he left. That's the plan. That's the vision they got. You can like it. You don't have to understand it, but that's the plan right now. So, but the plan for 2024 is for the Atlanta Falcons to actually put some wins on the board. So that's what they did with that number 8 overall pick. Now the Atlanta Falcons moved up to get Rook Aurora. I think I said it correct. Um, he got to get. We just gonna call him Rook, right? We can't keep saying that last name, so we're gonna say Rook. But picking up Rook. Now, see, this is where we start to think about names, right? And at the time when the Atlanta Falcons moved up, most people thought that we was going to get Johnny Newton, right? I did too. I thought we was going to get Johnny Newton, but see, this is where you know we read too many scout reports. We read too many people boards and things like that, and we're not understanding that the Atlanta Falcons have their own board, right? We don't understand that, right? And it's amazing me how when I listen to people talk about the Atlanta Falcons taking Rook over Johnny Newton, that they reached. They reached. According to them, they did not reach, right? And because they had an opportunity to get him, so they moved up to get this young man that they moved up to get Rook. Obviously, they had him higher on their board than they had Johnny Newton, right? That's their scouts, right? That's their scouts who spent, from the end of last season to to this point, and gave all the information to the general manager, to Kyle Smith, right, to the coaching staff, and they landed on Rook. That's what they landed on, right? So who are we to say that they reached, right? Because everybody else had this guy going ahead of them. That's the way it is. For Michael Penix, it was reported that they had Michael Penix, the number 2 quarterback, behind Caleb Williams. Right? They had him the number 2 quarterback. So if they got him number 2 on their board, right, and they got him Caleb Williams, Michael Penix Jr., Jalen Daniels, Marvin Harrison Jr. That's what reported they had for their top 4 players in this draft. So when you get to number 8, and your number 2 player is on the board, you get ready to pick. That's probably why they picked Michael Penix, man. He was the number 2 player on their board when they stacked it up from the best BPA. So this was reported. We don't know how true that is, but that was the report that came out, that he was the number 2 guy on their board. So when you think about a guy like Rook, right, over a guy like Johnny Newton, who we all was enamored by, because I was too, right? Because I'm listening to all the pundits. Like you, I never really dove into Rook film as much as I probably should until he got drafted, right? And then you start looking at the potential, the upside, what they see in him, how they going to be able to utilize him, with the Atlanta Falcons, And then you start understanding why the Atlanta Falcons decided to go with him, a guy who's still raw, right? Still raw. He still got a lot to learn. He started playing football later on, in his childhood. So a guy still raw, but still being real dominant at the University of Clemson. So they decided to pull the board, put the ticket in, move up the board. Yes, they gave up that 79th pick, from the Calvin Ridley trade, and they moved up and they got the guy they wanted. And then right after that, we saw the run on the defensive tackles, right? We saw Johnny Newton, we saw Braden Fisk. All of those guys go after Rook Aurora, but the Atlanta Falcons could have had either one of those guys. So if they didn't reach on their board because they got the guy that they wanted, right? They could have had a pick of the litter of defensive tackles, but they decided to pick him, right? And guys, we just got to just live with the direction they went with. We don't know if it's going to pan out. We're definitely going to find out, but that's where they went, right? With the next pick number 74, they went and got Braylon Trice, right? Actually got more pressures in the last 2 seasons than Latu, right? The physical traits and things like that, higher upside, maybe be with the other pass rushers. But when you look at the heart, you look at the work ethic, you look at a guy. One of the things that they talked about, somebody that love football and that's going to give it their all. When you watch Braylon Trice play the University of Washington, probably their best defensive player that they had on that team, you saw a guy that nonstop motor coming at you continuously. And we got our pass rusher, right? We didn't get it in the first round, like a lot of us, like a lot of people wanted them to get, right? We didn't get it with that second pick. We got him in the third round, but we might have got a steal, right? Because this guy is relentless. He is relentless. Like I say, go back and watch that Texas game, right? In the college football playoffs. Go back and watch it. His name was called all night long because he dominated that game against Texas, right? It just show you the potential he has. And the biggest thing that I want to talk about when we talk about all these players that Atlanta Falcons got, because I go back to something that um Coach Tomlin said when he was on the pivot, right? And he said a lot of coaches don't like to coach anymore, right? And they get guys in and they say this guy can't do this guy can't do this. He can't do it because he ain't been taught it yet, right? He got to be coached up, right? Raheem Morris, these coaching staff believe that they seen these traits in these guys and they can coach them up, right? That's what they see, right? We're gonna find out if they can be able to get the best out of these guys, right? But when they went and got Braylon Trice, I thought it was a big deal. Another defense. They went defense. That's what we wanted. They filled their defense. I've been seeing people out there say came away with the draft with no starters. Well, Atlanta Falcons had starters already. We already knew that, right? They didn't lose none of their starters. Maybe they lost you know, Bud Dupree and Calais Campbell. They lost those two guys, but other than that, they didn't lose any starters, right? So you're adding depth to this roster, right? So you'll be able to create that attrition, that rotation that you want, to keep fresh bodies on the field. When you allow Grady Jarrett and David Amayada to be fresh on third down to come back in and wreak havoc to get after the quarterback, right? You like the competition with a guy like bring a guy like Brady Trice in, right? You love that. So that's why I like these picks that they got. The next pick was another guy who's really dominant, being a pass rusher at the University of Oregon, and that's Brandon Dorlus, right? And shout out to Roberto from 95 North. He been talking about this guy for a while, Brandon Dorlus. Um, and I love what Raheem Morris said, how they're going to utilize him, being able to get after the pass rush skills, right? You listen to Brandon Dorlus, he said he could play the run right now, all kind of stuff. But I think he's going to definitely be a designated pass rusher to start off. So you'll be able to already see him make an impact getting on the field because the way he's able to get after the passer in the passing game. And go back and look at his film, you can see that. Another guy who's nonstop, relentless, trying to get after the quarterback, right? And there you have it, guys. Now the Falcons draft the quarterback, number 8, but then they go 3 straight defensive players, all on the defensive front. You know, addressing that front 7, what we all wanted, right? So that's where we're at with that. They stay on the defense with the Next pick, they go get linebacker JD Bertrand, JD Bertrand from the University of Notre Dame. Another guy who was a captain for the team, who led his team in tackles the last 2 seasons while he was there. Another guy that's just love football. You know, Raheem Mars already gave him a nickname, Captain America. A guy that's going to go out and give it 100%. He even talked about him. They said might be a guy you have to you know, take off the field to pull him back from the reins a little bit, because all he want to do is play football. So guys like Bertrand, and some of these other guys, these are the guys that the Atlanta Falcons had face to face at Flowery Branch. They came in. Bertrand, of course, he's from the Atlanta area, so he was able to come to the Georgia workout that they had. So they had a lot of a good conversation with him. They really got to know the kid, and sounds like from those interactions that they had, he really impressed them, and that's why he ended up being the Atlanta Falcon. But adding him to that linebacker room, a guy that, like I said, dominant tackler, add him with a Troy Anderson, add him with a Nate Landman, add him with a Caden Ellis. You love to see the way they're going to be able to utilize that linebacker room. Now, I believe that, looking at these 4 guys from our linebacker standpoint, I think our linebacker room is pretty solid, right? The next pick, 186, they went and got another running back, leader of the leading rusher for the Alabama Crimson Tide, another guy that can play on all 4 downs, right? He's able to pass protect. He's able to catch the ball out of the backfield. A lot of people say, okay, why are we going to get another running back? We don't need a running back. You always go get guys that can help your team win, right? You want to be able to have a guy who can be on, like I said, be that 4th down guy, a guy that can spell a Bijan Robinson, right? You want a guy to be able to come in and do that. Another guy, good pedigree coming in, kind of change the pace back. Okay, what this means for Avery Williams, not 100% sure. We'll have to find out. So I think camp is going to be good, but bringing in Jason McCullough, I really like this signing as well. And this, when you start to pick guys at this range in 6th round, you're getting just good football players, somebody that you want to add to the roster because you like what they stand for, and they love football. We did end up adding a receiver in Casey Washington, 6 foot receiver, running 4.46 in the 40. Didn't have a lot of, I think only like 49 receptions his last season. But if you go look at this guy, he attacks the ball. Good run after the catch. I think put him in the system, being able to utilize him. Sort of like the Los Angeles Rams used Puka Nacua. Just bring another receiver in. I think we definitely had to address that in the draft. So bringing a guy in that a lot of people maybe didn't have on their radar, but it just goes to show you that the Atlanta Falcons scouting department, another guy that, coming in with a chip on his shoulders, mentioned, not highly, recruited out of high school, overlooked and things like that. So we're going to see, how that chip, how he's able to bring that to, the competition going up against our cornerbacks that we got on the roster, making each other better, iron sharpening iron. And then the last guy we had to get our Georgia quota, Zion Logue. When they say Logue, you say load, because this is a big human being. This guy is 6'6", over 300 pounds, big boy. One thing I like about him, and one thing that what Raheem Morris talked about in all of these draft picks that we just talked about, is the length, right? He loves the length. Now he said JT Bertrand probably didn't have the length that you know so called desire, but like I said, they just fell in love with that kid because you know what he stands for and things like that. But Zion Lowe, if you go watch his highlights, the way he extend and be able to hold his game on the line of scrimmage, to be able to stuff runs, getting double team, playing in that rotation with guys like Jordan Davis, and and Jalen Carter, right? So big games, two-time national champion, getting a guy like Zion Lowe, big guy, going to be able to learn from guys um, like Dave Yada, Grady Jarrett, right? 6'6". So, about the biggest a guy like we just had here in Calais Campbell. Um, can you imagine him and Zach Harrison, on that front line, being able to hold their own, being able to stop that run game? That's what I like, right? Guy that's coming in, a lot of production, a winner, coming from the University of Georgia. We already know, how he's been coached in college. So I like Zion Lowe coming in. Um, and there you have it, guys. Our 2024 draft class. Um, and they addressed defense. They addressed the front seven. Now they didn't address a cornerback, right? That was one of the things that we definitely was thought that we actually needed to upgrade. But if you listen to what Raheem Morris and Terry Fontenot had to say, um, I still believe they're going to add in free agency. We're going to talk about some of the UDFAs they added, but I still believe they might add in free agency, at that cornerback position. So it's still some decent veterans out there that if they want to add to that room, they can. We do remember they did bring in Antonio Hamilton. They brought in Kevin King, right? So those are some veterans they did bring in to the fold. Of course, we had Clark here. We had Hughes here. So we had corners here. We got Natron Brooks is still here as well. So they did add bodies to the cornerback before the draft. We you just assumed that they was gonna add something in the draft, but it just how the board fell. The way Terry Fontenot mentioned, didn't want to reach. Right before we pick, I can't remember which pick we had, but I think Kool-Aid McKinstry went right before our pick, so it probably could have been him. We don't know, right? But I think when he got picked, we was right after that. So uh, maybe one of the guys that they really wanted was off the board, and they didn't feel like they wanted to reach for that. But guys, that's our draft. That's our draft. I'm not going to give a grade because just looking at the grades that the people gave Atlanta Falcons, and it solely was because they picked Michael Penix and they didn't pick the guys that they wanted in the draft, right? That's where it really boils down to. Not saying that they didn't pick good players, they saying that they didn't pick the guys that they thought was good, or you know the decision they would have made in the draft, and that's not how you should grade. You should grade on who they did pick, right? Not who you thought they should pick or what you thought they should have did. You should pick on the picks that they made and the quality and the value of that player, right? And that's what the Atlanta Falcons did, right? They went off their draft board. That's how they did their picks. If you ask them how they picked, they probably say they give themselves an A, right? But in reality, doing these draft grades, right? You won't know. You won't know for about 3 years probably, especially since Michael Penix is added to that, right? Because we might not see him play for a couple of years, so we don't know about this draft class and how it's going to pan out. Got to give it time to figure out how these guys translate in the NFL, right? Hopefully, at the end, the Atlanta Falcons have got a couple of gems here in this draft class, and they really can pay dividends. They really can contribute. I honestly believe that most of these guys are going to contribute this season in some shape or form um, on special teams, definitely. But I believe some of these guys are going to be able to find themselves in the rotation as well and be able to really add something to this team this year. That's what I believe. I know a lot of people saying that we don't have any starters, but we have starters already, right? These guys are added to the depth. And if you know anything about football, one of the most important things that you want to have on a football team is your depth, right? And that's what they created in this draft. They created enormous depth. I love the picks that they made, um, and we just want to see how they pan out. So one of my years, I will not get a grade, right? I go back and I look, you know, some people gave the Kansas City Chiefs a C minus when they drafted Patrick Mahomes, right? And you really want to go back and look at who gave that C minus grade, right? Go back and see who gave that C minus grade for the Chiefs for drafting Patrick Mahomes, because now they look like idiots, right? Then that's what I'm talking about. So because you don't know how these guys are going to turn out, right? How many people were pounding their fists for a guy like Zach Wilson, in the top five, right? Think about that, right? Trey Lance, right? When guys put all these mock drafts out and who they think should go number one and all that stuff, right? They don't know, right? Because at the end of the day, you don't know the situation the player's going to, right? You don't know that, right? You don't know if they're going to be able to fit that scheme. You don't know if they're going to be able to translate from college to pros, because remember, it is college, right? They could have dominated in college. Look at a guy like Tim Tebow, right? Tim Tebow was Mr. College, man. Tim Tebow was unstoppable in college. Think about it. He was unstoppable in college, but couldn't do that in the pros, right? So sometimes people games do not translate, you know, from college to pros. And you respect the scouts and the analysts and things like that, because that's where we get all our content from. So I respect all those guys, but for them to say the Atlanta Falcons reach on Rook because they didn't get Braden Fisk, or they didn't get um, Johnny Newton, right? Um, but that's not who they had on their board. They had opportunity to draft both of those guys if they wanted to, right? So obviously they felt like Rook fit what they wanted to do, what they wanted to bring to Atlanta more than those other two guys. And not say they're going to be right. I'm not saying that they're right. We don't know yet. We're going to find out. But you know, I just this whole draft process, because of what the Atlanta Falcons did, kind of just shine a light on, like, we at the end of the day, guys, we don't damn know what's gonna happen, right? We just got to wait to see, right? So that's where I'm at with it. Let's look at some of this stuff. Um, Kevin, sir, he think Terry is cooking up a trade is coming. You might be right on that. Um, did we pick up another quarterback? We're going to talk about that in just a minute in undrafted free agents. Recondition, what's up, bro? I think Trice is the next coming of Cam Jordan. Remember, I said it. I'm going to remember that too. I'm definitely going to remember that. Dante says, ready for the season to start so the Falcons can show the lead. Last year was the past. We got it back, a rotation players year. No breaks onto the opponent's year. We dumb. That's what I'm talking about. That's the attitude you gotta have, because at the end of the day, right? End of the day, man, like, we all we got. And that's when at the end we're gonna talk about that. Kind of typo, so don't worry about it, man. Don't worry about it. All right. Let's talk about these undrafted free agents, guys, because the Falcons did bring in undrafted free agents. We already knew that. They call this round 8, right? That's what they call it. So they brought in 3 wide receivers. They brought in Cole Beck from Virginia Tech. He's actually coming in on a tryout, so during the rookie minicamp. They also brought in Jacquay Jackson from Rutgers, a receiver. They brought in Isaiah Wooden from Southern Utah, another receiver. They brought in 2 cornerbacks, Jalen Price from North Dakota State. They brought in Trey Vaval from Minnesota State. So those are 2 cornerbacks they brought in. They brought in a punter, Ryan Sonborn from Texas. You always bring those guys in, so you want to wear your kicker legs out. Anticipating them probably bring another kicker in as well. Um, just like Kevin mentioned, they brought in another quarterback. So this will be the fourth quarterback that they brought in. They signed him to a going to be in the training camp with us, John Paddock from Illinois. So this young man played with our wide receiver Casey Washington, right? So little chemistry there, bringing in John Paddock from Illinois. Um, so we'll see, but that's just a camp arm. We know that's what that is, a camp arm, bringing him in. We don't know how much Kurt gonna be able to throw, to start of, especially the offseason program. Hopefully he be ready for a training camp though. So let's hope he's ready for that. And then the last guy they brought in was a tight end, Austin Stronger from Oklahoma. So right now, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. They brought in 9 players. So far, I think that put them at 85 players. You remember they got to have 90 for a training camp. So anticipate some more moves. We just talked about a trade. Definitely could do that. Um, could be some more free agent signings. Probably can do that. If you didn't know, Braylon Trice picked number 48. And if you guys recall, who had number 48 last year? That was Bud Dupree. So does that mean Bud Dupree is definitely not coming back to the team? We don't know. We have to see. But Bud Dupree had 48. Brandon Trice picked 48. I haven't seen any other numbers yet. What other guys got? Be interesting to see the number that Michael Penix Jr. picked. See what number that he's going to pull down and see what his number is going to be. But we'll see who else these guys decide to bring in. You like the extra cornerbacks they're bringing in. I still believe they're going to bring in more cornerbacks. I think last year they had like 9 defensive backs on the roster going into camp. You like to have all those CBs there because you can create good competition going back and forth with your receivers, right? The more depth you have, great competition, and you always find diamonds in the rough, especially this regime. So far, they have found a couple diamonds that actually pay dividends. You look at a guy like D. Alford, bringing him in from the Canadian Football League. And he was out in starting nickel last year. So just think about that. And then you got a guy like Nate Landman who was undrafted. That when Troy Anderson went down, filled in and had over 110 tackles. So don't underestimate some of these undrafted guys. They come in, they just are hungry, and some of these guys just got drafted, right? Because they want the opportunity. And that's all these guys ask for. It's opportunity to show what they can do. And if you got a good coaching staff, right, you're gonna get an opportunity. That's what you're gonna do. Because if they can't find a home, with the Atlanta Falcons, just like Raheem Morris said, they can find a home somewhere else. So that's what you like. You love to see that. So welcome in these 9 guys, along with our 8 draftees, total of 17 guys that Atlanta Falcons just added over this past weekend. They're not done yet. You hear Terry Fontenot always saying 24/7, 365, right? Anticipate more moves to come from this Atlanta Falcon organization here in the next couple of weeks. Of course, got minicamp coming up, a rookie minicamp coming up. Then we got a couple more team events that that some going to start to be mandatory for all the players to be in. The OTAs is still not mandatory right now, but I think most of the guys from the team was actually there, building that camaraderie, getting ready to go. Of course, got a new coaching staff, you got a new sitting caller and Kirk Cousins, right? Trying to develop that chemistry. You get these rookies, put into the culture and build this team up and get ready to go for the 2024 season. So you gotta like that, right? So that's where I got on these UDFAs. Like I said, it was 3 wide receivers, 2 defensive backs, offensive lineman. I forgot about offensive lineman Ryan Cole from Richmond. The punter, tight end, and the quarterback, John Paddock. So that's 4 quarterbacks on roster. I think by now we like, man, how many quarterbacks they going to sign, right? Um, what's up, family? I'm glad to see my cousin get drafted. Trice about to be Nate Landman 2.0. That's what I'm talking about. Speaking to existence, man. It'd be funny that Brandon Trice get defensive rookie of the year and he got picked in the third round. That'd be hilarious because everybody was upset about the Atlanta Falcons didn't get a pass rusher um, in this draft, and it's funny about that, right? Because you know everybody expected the Atlanta Falcons to go defense, including myself. I'm not going to sit here and like I wasn't part of it, but the first defender went off on number 15, right? That's where the value was. Now, some people say, well, I had Latu way higher on my board than at 15. So so the Colts maybe feel like they got to steal, right? That's definitely how they could be feeling right now. A lot of other people could be feeling the same way. Got another feel. We do know this. Our Atlanta Falcons tried to come back in the first round on night one, right? They tried to come back. Terry confirmed that he tried to go from 9 to 32 and could never get back into the drafts to that first round. So you love to see the aggressiveness is trying to get back in, right? It was trying to get a defensive player, right? But they just never could. But in the end, you know, being emphasized on that front seven like they did, I think really going to pay dividends because you're just adding depth to that room, and you gotta love it. We got Dermot said grooming a rookie quarterback is a luxury that most teams can't afford to do. That is 100% correct. I mean, just think about it. Um, by the time Michael Penix get on the field now, of course you need reps. All right, it's no secret that the best way to learn is to get on the field and to get reps. So they do definitely need reps. However, right, he's going to know this system in and out, and that's what you gotta love. He's going to know this system, right? That's the beauty of this. Um, he have all the talent in the world. He's gonna learn from a pro because that's what Kirk Cousins is. Um, and the coolest thing about Kirk Cousins is that he's not an asshole, right? So he's gonna put that young man on his wing and he's gonna teach him, right? That's the greatest thing about it. Kirk Cousins, a lot of people keep saying that he's gonna be pissed and all that stuff, but if you believe in your game, you ain't worrying about that. You're not worrying about it. I mean, look at what Aaron Rodgers did. They drafted Jordan Love. He won back-to-back MVPs, right? That's what he did, right? So if you they drafted Michael Penix and they telling you, hey, he the future, man. But it's Kirk Cousins' job to be like, yeah, he might be the future when I get done, right? And if that's the case, guys, we should be happy about that because that means he putting in the work and we winning, right? That's the luxury of having that, right? Because if Michael Penix can pick Kirk Cousins to play above the way he been playing, right? His last 12 seasons, that's going to work in our benefit. That's working in our benefit, right? That's what we want to. That's what we want to see. And don't listen to when people say, "Well, if he can't beat Kirk Cousins, he don't supposed to beat Kirk Cousins out." Right? Kirk Cousins is a 12-year vet, man. Freaking don't had 8 years where he don't threw over 4,000 yards. Think about it. The guy can play, right? But he's not the future. Penix is, and just like Darmar said, we could sit back and let him learn. So by the time he gets in the field, he'll be 28. Nah, he probably be about 26, 26. And guess what? It's a Hall of Fame quarterback. Hall of Fame quarterback. Um, that led his team to 2 Super Bowls. That when he got his first start, he was 28. Kurt Warner. Kurt Warner got his first NFL start. He was 28. He led his team to 2 Super Bowls. He's a Hall of Famer, guys. So age You know, I mean, if he starts at 26, he plays for 10 years. That's 10 years, and we don't have to worry about a quarterback. So the age thing is, to me, is like, I think people overhyping the age. You know, it is what it is. I mean, we wanted Justin Fields. He was going to be 25, right? And we was clamoring for him. He was going to be 25. Jalen Daniels, same age, Michael Penix, right? So I mean, the whole age thing, in my opinion, is kind of overblown. But I guess like I said, when you start listening to other people and start putting what other people say, because it's no precedent saying that a guy can come in at 27, he won't be good, right? I just told you, Kurt Warner came in at 28. He started, went to 2 Super Bowls, right? So it's no blueprint, guys. All these talking heads out there, and they say the Falcons should have did this. Why they do this? They don't make any sense. That it's no blueprint. It's no blueprint of what's going to make you know build a good team. It's no blueprint, because teams don't did it so many different ways, right? Look what the Rams did. Traded for Matthew Stafford, went all in. They didn't have a first round pick since 2016. It was the first year they had a first round pick. They won the Super Bowl, right? Went to the playoffs last year. So, like, it's no way, it's no perfect way to do it. So don't look New England, right? They always traded back and back and back and back, and got created draft capitals, right? That's what they did all those years. So it's no blueprint. Listening to these people, like, they didn't follow, like it's a book you're supposed to follow to how to make your team good. Because if it was so easy, right, it'd be more successful teams, right? Because it'll be a book out there, like we just follow the book, and it'll work out. But that's not how it works. That's definitely not how it works, because first of all, you don't know the players, right? You don't know what you're going to get out of players. You assume right? It's not like every first round pick turns out to be a great player. They're going to be all pros. They're going to be Hall of Famer. That doesn't happen, right? Atlanta Falcons could have picked a pass rusher. It could have been a bust, i.e., Vic Beasley, right? Vic Beasley, one good season, right, as a pass rusher. Decent pass rusher. I mean, he averaged about 8 sacks, but not top 10 worthy pick, right? Maybe we should have went and got our running back, right? Even though he didn't play long either, right? Bad knees, but maybe we should have went running back that year instead of going Vic Beasley. Maybe we would have been better off. So it's no blueprint, right? So when people talk about his age and they should have did this and you're gonna pay a quarterback this, it ain't no blueprint, right? This the hill that they own, right? If 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 it don't work, guess what? They get fired. That's the way it works. That's the way it works. They know that, but they was in their convictions and the way they decided to do what they wanted to do. That's the way you gotta. That's why you gotta just let them roll with it, right? They they decided to make that move that they knew was gonna turn the NFL up, because you just paid a guy, right? Let's go ahead and bunk the rumor that Arthur Blank was not aware of it, or he made a decision. Believe me, Arthur Blank just paid. He just gave up $180 million, right, to Kirk Cousins. 100 million guaranteed. He knows this, right? And trust me, he was on board with picking Michael Penix Jr. at number 8. That whole front office was on board, and they all knew the reactions they were going to get. This wasn't no surprise, right? It wasn't no surprise. It was like, um, oh man, I hope nobody don't notice that we picked the quarterback at number 8, and we just paid another quarterback $100 million guaranteed. They knew what was going to happen. They knew the reaction they was going to get, and they didn't care, because they're trying to go back to my first original point. They believe that they're going to win, create a sustainable winner for years and years to come. Raheem Morris ain't trying to just play for 2024. He trying to play for longer than that. He don't think he's gonna. He said we're gonna be good this year and the next year and the next year and the next year. That's the way he's looking at it, right? You got. I like that mindset. That's the way I love it, man. I love it, and that's what this move shows to me more than anything. That they believe that they're gonna be here a while, right? Because you don't make a move on bringing a quarterback in that you know that you hoping that you're expecting the guy you just signed to play good, right? For years, for at least 2 years, you're expecting that. So you know that this guy is just going to sit back. But we plan to be winning now, and we ain't picking in the top 10 no more. That's the way they looking at it. So that's why I love it, man. I love it. I love it. I love it. Look at some of these comments, man. Let's see here. But a named person in NFL that has to come strong from Achilles injury. Well, look at it like this. Kevin Durant came back from Achilles injury. He played basketball, right? Jumping up and down, right? Some people saying he's showing better numbers than he had after he tore his Achilles. Guess what? Kirk Cousins don't move nearly as much as Kevin Durant does. He's not a running quarterback. He's a pocket passer. He just need to be able to step up in the pocket, get out of harm's way every now and then. You know, Kirk Cousins ran like a 5 flat in the 40, so he's not fast, right? He's able to move a little bit, but he's a pocket passer. That's what he is. So that Achilles is not his Achilles should not affect him as much as we think he is. What's going on, Wallace? Dante says Falcons have a better starter and backup and skill sets better than half of the league. That is 100% true. Look at the depth, man. And you come back on Wednesday, we actually gonna go down the depth chart because I want to definitely talk about the defensive line and some of these guys, you know, that might be on the chopping block, man, that we brought in. So we're gonna definitely get into the depth on the defensive line, and we can talk about a rotation they can have because, you know, the Falcons have potential to put, you know, 5 fat pass rushers on the field at one time, right? You know what I'm saying? You include the outside linebackers, then you put a Darlis, out there, you put a Yada, you put a Grady Jarrett who's going to create that inside pressure, right? Then you like I said, you got a Amber Katie, you got a Trice. Woo, man, telling you, I can't wait because to be honest with you guys, we don't even know how this defense is gonna really look yet. We kind of think we know. He said base 3-4, but we don't know. We got to see how it's gonna pan out because Jimmy Lake, yes, it's defense, but you know Raheem Morris is gonna have some influence on that. Dante said Big V's in the UFL. He definitely is. He definitely is, man. He's trying to get back in the league. Ricondo, I don't know if people remember Chris Winkie was 28. Yes, Florida State when he won the Heisman and drafted in the first round by the Panthers. Yeah, I do remember Chris Winkie. I remember him, but you know, people would come and say, well, he really wasn't a success and stuff. That's why I mentioned Kurt Warner, right? Somebody that won 2 Super Bowls. I mentioned somebody like that, right? Because that's, you know, where you want to look at the precedents, right? Phillip Rivers sat for 2 years. Just let everybody know. People don't know that Phillip Rivers sat for 2 years because Drew Brees was with the San Diego Chargers at the time. Carson Palmer was the number 1 overall pick. He sat for a year, right? We know Patrick Mahomes sat for a year behind Alex Smith, right? We have seen it happen where guys sit back and learn. You know, and they mentioned Green Bay, so I don't want to talk about those 2 guys because, you know, Aaron Rodgers and Jordan Love, of course, sat behind Brett Favre. Aaron Rodgers, Jordan Love sat behind Aaron Rodgers. So, you know, that's where they saying it's a motto there, but it's more than just that. It's a lot of quarterbacks that have sat back, and back in the day, it was kind of the norm that quarterbacks sat and learned the game before they actually just put under fire. Now It's instant grits. Everybody want to see instant success, right? Look what happened to Bryce Young last year, right? Look what happened to David Carr. Got sacked like 80 times. And he tells you now, he was shell shocked, man. They put that man out there, no offensive line, and he got destroyed, right? Um, Sam Darnold seeing ghosts. He said he was seeing ghosts. Like, is he going to get it back? Right? He's with the Jets right now, and with the Vikings, and the Vikings talking about they might not, rush JJ McCarthy out there, right? Because they got Sam Darnold, right? So it's precedence that's here that shows you that you don't have to start the guy, and I don't want him to start right now, right? Because I want to see what Kirk Cousins can do with these weapons. I really do. I want to see what he can do, man. Terry says, Kondo, at Michael Penix High School highlights, he looked like Michael Vick 2.0. Oh, he can run, man. He talked about it. He's not Michael Vick now. He'll tell you that he's not Michael Vick. He is the lefty though, right? And that ball comes out like a rocket, man. He got an arm on him. He really do have an arm on him. But yeah, he can move, and he talked about it. He just want to stay in the pocket. You got weapons, right? Deliver the ball to your weapons, right? That's what Kirk Cousins going. He gonna learn from a pro that can do that, because that's all Kirk Cousins gonna do. Is gonna play point guard. Here you go Drake. Here you go Kyle. Here you go Darnell. That's what he gonna do. And everybody's worried about Penix injuries, but they're going to be okay. Getting Latu had a neck injury that caused him to quit football. Yes. Yeah, everybody wanted, Latu, who had neck fusion, right? Right. But I mean, if you look at Penix, those early in his career, last 2 seasons, no issues there. And the kid is a winner too, man. I mean, even at the University of Indiana, like I don't know if anybody even watched Indiana football, but he went 12-5 when he was in Indiana. So I mean, it just goes to show you. Um, Steve Young, yeah, that's a good comp, man. That's a great comp. Lefty, that's a great comp. A guy like Steve Young. Let's see here. Red X checking in here. I love Penix pick. Was really hoping he would fall to us at 13. I did not want McCarthy too much like Trubisky. Penix can start this year when Cousins get banged up. And that could be the case, man. Like, I can tell you this much. That'll be if Penix start this year because Kirk Cousins get hurt. It gives me Drew Bledsoe, Tom Brady vibes. And I know you guys remember that, right? Drew Bledsoe got hurt on the sideline, got hit. Tom Brady got in, and that was all she wrote. That's history, right? Think about it. Drew Bledsoe get hurt, Tom Brady get in, and that was all she wrote. So if Kirk Cousins, I tell you, man, Kirk Cousins ain't coming out this game. Only way Kirk Cousins don't play the game if he retires Achilles again. I think this guy played through it because he knows. He knows. And and I'm going to mention this because it's going to happen. Like, we know our fan base, right? Kirk Cousins have a couple of bad games. Oh, the fan base is going to be ready to roll. So we already know. We already know. Like, it's no ifs, ands, or buts about it. So yes, it's going to be a quarterback controversy. Right? Even though Raheem and Terry is going to do their best to make sure that everybody knows that Kirk Cousins is a starter. And we all know this, but let him have some bad games, right? And don't play well. And then the North's going to start coming out. It's just going to happen because you got that young quarterback back there in waiting, right? And that's just the truth. So that's why I believe he's going to play lights out, man. I believe Kirk Cousins is going to come out and ball out, and we're going to benefit from it from a fan base because we're going to be loved to win. So that's the way I'm looking at it, and I hope that will be the case. Let's see here. Heineke will play first. Know about that. Maybe Heineke will play first. But you know, I don't know, man. I kind of feel bad for Heineke because his reputation that he had um before he came to us, he was solid, a solid backup, man. But he came in for the Atlanta Falcons. Like, so I don't know if that had anything to do with Arthur Smith, or it wasn't a right fit for him, whatever. He didn't play well last year. So um I don't see him like just running away with it being the top guy and saying that he's gonna do some things. Um, Ro Jackson said, "Thanks for the super chat." He said, "My favorite pick, Michael Penix Jr. We got our future quarterback." See. So not everybody upset about it. That's good. I love it, man. I love it. Yeah, and I'm gonna be honest with you. My favorite pick, I got two. I got two favorite picks. It's Braylon Chase and Braylon Dorless, man. Those two guys for me. Brandon Dorless, right? Is it the Brandon Dorless? Yeah, Brandon Dorless. Those two guys for me, I think they're gonna be really good. I think they're gonna be really good. So, um, I just can't wait to see what they bring to the table, man. Can't wait. So those are my two favorite picks, Braden Trice and Brandon Dorless. Um, Heineken probably gets traded in week 8. He might not make the team. He might not make the team. So we'll see. They're going to keep 3 quarterbacks, which they probably do because of the new rule. Um, I just saw your background, Yo Joe. That's right, man. Those are classics. I had to find those things collectible. So I'm telling my age a little bit because I used to play with those GI Joes when I was a kid, back in the '80s. So um, when I seen them, I said I got to go get them. Put them up in my little room. See my Falcon, stuff. But I had to put the Joes right there as well. So, would you rather have Penix over Jaden Daniels? Man, that's a good question. So I just go ahead and say it. If we was up in the first 3, man, we was in the top 3 pick. I would have picked Jaden Daniels, hands down, the way he played this season. Honestly, I would have, but um, I don't know. I mean, they were around the same age, kind of had the same story a little bit, right? They was 1 and 2 in the Heisman vote this past season. Um, you know, Penix got a little bit more injury history. Um, but Jaden Daniels coming from Arizona, going to LSU. Penix coming from Indiana, going to the University of Washington. That's a great question, man. That's a great question. But probably Jaden Daniels. But interesting, I don't know if you heard my earlier comment. It was reported that the Atlanta Falcons actually had Michael Penix number 2 over Jaden Daniels on their board. So believe that or not, I don't know if that's how true that is, but it was reported that they had him the number 2 quarterback. So um, they thought highly over they had a higher grade on Penix than they had on Jaden Daniels. And I can tell you this, he does have the best arm in this draft. So and stuff like that you can't teach. Arm talent, you either got it or you don't. So yeah. Um, Darlis feel much further than expected. You revamp your dime with those picks. Yes, you do. Yeah. Because I agree. I don't think people thought Darlis was gonna fall that far. And if you can see where he was talking about him in the press conference, is how his mind was turning, how he was going to utilize him. He's going to utilize him as he's going to be pass rush as the end, coming off the end, right? But if you watch Dorless play, he played all over the line. So he just didn't play at the end. He played all over the line. But they're going to use him as the end because he have the ability to rush the passer. So, yep. You said Heineken might get cut. That's what. Yep, I agree. That's what I said. Um, who are they to keep on the D line? That's a great question, man. Like I kind of looked at the depth chart. Um, Let me go to it real quick, guys, so we can kind of talk about that depth chart real quick because it's got a lot of defense alignment. They got a lot of alignment, a lot of defense alignment. Um, and if you look at it, so they got Grady Jarrett, they got David Armayata, they got Lakel London, they got Graham, and we're not going to talk about. I guess we do. We got to talk about Okendeji. We got to talk about Zach Harrison. Or we're going to put those guys in the offensive outside linebacker, but probably not. I mean, they went and got James Smith Williams. If you guys remember him, they got Kentavious Street. I anticipate them keeping 9 defensive linemen. Um, Now Eddie Goldman, do his annual tradition and decide to retire again, then that'll help out a little bit. But you got Grady Jarrett, you got David Omiyata, you got Lakel London, you got Zach Harrison, you got Ali Okendeji, you got Taquan Graham, you just brought in Aurora, you got Brandon Dorless. Man, they got a deep offensive line, deep defensive line. It's really deep. It's really deep. Um, that competition is gonna be really good. And if they keep 9, I think Lakel London might be the guy out. They decide to keep 9 guys. So I like the whole draft class. And now we have to see what else they do. Yes, I agree with you. I mean, of course, like because we have to we don't know what they see in this team, right? Um, and that's where sometimes we kind of get misled on what we think they need or the direction they're going in because we all felt like they were going to pull a cornerback off the board, and maybe they would have if it failed. They was hit kept emphasizing they weren't going to reach, but they didn't get a cornerback. So how do they really feel about a cornerback room? We'll see how they really feel about it. We do know they brought in Kevin King, they brought in Antonio Hamilton, right? So we'll know if they feel comfortable what they about they cornerback room. We'll find out here, if they make any more moves, right? They mentioned Richie Grant, right? Somebody wanted to report asked about Richie Grant. Raheem said he felt like Richie Grant was better than he thought he was when he scouted him, right? So we all know he need to work his coverage skills. But I believe DeMarco Hellum coming in being over him right now anyway. So we'll see what they think about that safety room. Marva said Penix throws the ball like he's throwing darts. Man, his accuracy. Go back and watch the game, man. Go back and watch his game. See, he's really accurate. Um, he does use progressions. A lot of people say he didn't use progressions. I don't think people gave him enough credit for the things he did. Throwing the ball for 45 over 4,000 yards in college is impressive, man. It really is. Right, going undefeated is impressive. Yeah, I mean, he did some good things, and I thought really why they wasn't talking about him as much because of his injuries. But if they talking about his game, I don't understand how they could not put him up there right with a Drake May and a J.J. McCarthy. Like I don't understand that at all. So um, that is kind of interesting. I think Goldman is going to make the roster spot. Yeah, if he stays, he's definitely going to make the roster spot. I was just saying if he does his annual, I'm retiring again. thing. But I think third time a charm. I think he's going to stay this time. But yes, if Goldman's on the team, he's definitely going to make the squad. That guy was I love him in the middle of the line. So definitely going to make it. Aurora intrigues me. Can you speak on your thoughts on him briefly once more? So if you look at how they utilize Aurora in Clemson, he played all across the line, right? A lot of stunts. And one good thing about what you know about the Clemson defensive tackles is that they've been coached really well, right? Um, that defensive line coach for Clemson has produced a lot of great defensive linemen. So one thing about Roro that why people might have him low because he's raw. He's still raw. So he get caught up sometimes on going up the field too much, and things like that. So he has raw talent, but that's what coaching is all about, right? What I liked about it, his motor, his no quit. He's coming. He's coming. He don't stop on plays. I mean, he loves the game, and if you just listen to him, he said he want to prove the Falcons right for moving up because remember the Falcons moved up to go get him, but um his ability to move across the line, they pretty much played him at every spot on the line. So and he played five, he played zero tech, so they can put him in a lot of different spots on the defensive line. But it's if you think about it, it's a mini clone of Grady Jarrett. That's how they want to utilize him. So um perfect person, to get under his wing and learn a lot from Grady. But yes, those defensive linemen from Clemson has been coached really well. Um, and I definitely see his game translating well into the NFL. And once again, he's another guy that has the length, right? That's what Raheem already talked about it because when you able to have that punch and be able to hold off and move linemen to where you want them to go to get off blocks and make the play. That's what you like from Roro. So um, a guy like Johnny Newton, why they might maybe didn't pick him because he's straight up the hit field guy, and you know what? He went to the perfect team because that's the defense that Dan Quinn plays. Right? He loves those defensive linemen that shoot up the field. Right? It's no contain, don't hold your line. He like guys to shoot up the field, get in the backfield. A lot of defenses, coaches don't like that. They want their guys to be able to hold because you get up the field now, you know, you behind the play already, right? But Dan Quinn's like that penetration. You go back and look at some of the way he played in Seattle with his defenses. That's what he liked. And so Johnny Newton, and sometimes that's what it's about, guys. It just fit better with certain teams. And I think going to Commanders is really good. It's going to be really good for Johnny Newton. Vice, him coming to Atlanta, even though some players can fit in any scheme. So, but that's what I like about Roro. Terry T say Penix has the best arm, 100%. Definitely, he has the best arm in the draft, no doubt about that. Um, but people have to realize they're drafting the players they want to feel contribute to the team, not what fans want, no matter what they can make it. And see, this is the point I'm making earlier because it's about the names, right? And like I said, these talking heads and these draft analysts, they're really good at their job, right? Especially the ones that you know know these players in and out. But what they don't know, and this is the part where you have to listen to the area scouts, the teams, because those area scouts and those teams, they have did extensive work on these guys. You heard Terry Fontenot talking about background checks. They doing their homework on these guys, right? When you listen to the analysts on TV, he's just talking about what he do on the field, right? That's what he's talking about. He's not talking about anything else. He ain't went and talked to his high school teacher or his coach, what kind of teammate he is. Does he quit? in practice? Does he do? They don't talk about none of that, right? They just talk about what they seen on the field, right? And that's that's just half of it, right? Because you're going to pretty much show your best players on the field, but if you don't practice well, you're not a good teammate, you're not a leader, right? Um, you stay in trouble. They might not want you on the team because do they want to make an investment on you that way? That's the way you got to look at it. So this is a great point by Wallace. Um, Stop looking at the names and believe in your scouting department, because these guys have did extensive work, right? They're not just slapping names on the board and blindly picking these guys. When they moved up to get Aurora, they really believed that he was the best player for them. That's why they went up and got him. They had a pick. It hadn't been no defensive lineman went off the board at that time. They had a choice, and that's who they picked. So you just have to go with it because that's what they thought, right? Time will tell if they was right. Time will tell. But right at this point, right now, how can you say they was wrong, right? You don't know. All said, they picked their route because they're aggressive and has a lot of passion for the game. Bingo. That's 100% true. Um, and if you notice, they drafted defensive player that all have length. Also true. Darlis, Trice, Rororo, Zoe. I mean, Logue, Logue. He probably got the longest length out of all of them. Zion Logue at the end. Now, Bertrand, he don't have length, but like I said, that guy loved the game. That he fall into love the game. He loves the game. That's what he fall into. Um, I had no idea Raheem Morris would bring in elite type culture to this organization. Well, man, if you just listen to Raheem, um, he's himself. He's not fake. You listen to him. He even talking to the guys when they call him to welcome to the team, right? Just being himself. You gotta like that, not being fake. And I believe one thing about Raheem, he's going to be a straight shooter. He's going to tell it how it is. He ain't gonna sugarcoat you, right? That's why he called Kirk, let him know, man, you the starter, man, but we had to roll with this. Kurt a grown man, he getting paid 100 million guarantee. He'll be okay. I really want to Newman. I know, man. He went off the board right there. I like the Tyler Newman too. I thought he was definitely gonna be there. And you was looking at the draft, you just saw some guys that maybe the Falcons would have drafted those guys if they was on the board. They was on the board. Maybe they would have drafted some of these guys. But guys, we pick out. Think about it. Out of all the guys that we called out in the draft, even myself when we went, we probably called out maybe 15 or 20 guys that we wish the Falcons would have drafted, but it's probably like 400, 300 guys in the draft, right? That we ain't even considering. And it's their job to look at all those guys and pick the best ones, right? To fit what they want. And right. And that's really, like I said, you find diamonds in the rough that you never known about, right? I mean, getting Grady Jarrett in the 5th round, he don't sign 3 contracts in the NFL. They got him in the 5th round. He signed 3 contracts already, right? Come on, man, right? He didn't have the prototypical traits, right? He's short for a defensive lineman, right? Arms, they're not long, but but he's a dog, man. He's a dog. He wanted more than anybody else, right? And sometimes you can't find that with measurements and things like that. You meet the person, you know what he stands for. You believe him when he talk about he gonna show it. He he gonna show it more than he can talk about it. That's what you're gonna get, right? And all these guys, I really believe that these are the kind of guys they went and got this time. were you initially aboard Raheem Morris hire? I was when they hired him, but I was a Bill Belichick guy. I'm not gonna lie. You can go back because it's on record. You know, I was all about Bill Belichick. But when they hired Raheem Morris, 100% on board. Thought it was a great hire. I did not want a new head coach in here, um, and now I love it. I'm 100% love the pick, the decision to bring in Raheem Morris. Dante Haynes said, just watch the highlights of all the drafted players. Defensive guys are aggressive, have high motors. Running back is quick, good vision between tackles. Wide receiver is a blocker and has good hands. Dante seen it all, and just he seen it all right there, just like that. I agree with you 100%. Everything you said is true. That's why they went and got aggressive. All these guys are aggressive, man. They relentless too. They relentless. I mean, and Falcons got a thing they like to do. They like to pick great teammates. They like to pick captains of teams. So they like to pick players like that to bring in, right? Because you know you got to. They want a good person, good people too, man. I know sometimes you want some little nastiness and stuff like that, but you could be nasty. You look at how way these guys play. They get out there with the quarterback, right? But they also are good people as well. So, um, and I know it's like, oh, good people playing for yeah, but I'm just telling you, the Falcons ain't drafting no mess, man. Not if they do their investigation and stuff, they trying to bring good, solid people into the locker room. So Bertrand is tackling machine too because he doesn't miss two. Yeah, man, he led his team in tackles 2 years in running. So and he was a team captain. I just talked about that, right? They followed him. He was their leader on that defense, right? And you bring that guy in, you pair him up with Troy Anderson, um, Nate Lamb, and Kay Nellis, right? You bringing that guy in, a leader for his team, bringing him in and put him in our locker room. Gotta love it. You gotta like guys like that. All right, guys. The last thing I'm gonna talk about today is just trust the process. At the end of the day, you know, you just gotta believe in these guys, man. Right? Um, you're going to ride with them. I think before the draft, we all believed that the Atlanta Falcons had an opportunity to win NFC South. Right? I was on the saying that I felt like the roster was still incomplete. I think it's more complete now with adding these depth pieces to the roster. I still believe they need to add some things, but if they feel like these defensive backs that we got can hold up, right? Clark Phillips played really well. He did, right? And we're not going to take anything away from him. He played well, and you do expect players to have that jump from year one to year two, right? A guy like Zach Harrison, right? We talking about, you know, we don't have it, but you expect Zach Harrison to play better than he played last season. That what you expecting, right? You expect Armor Ebiketie to play better than he played last season, right? That's called, you know, learning being a pro and getting better in your craft. That what you're expecting from these young guys. So, all right, that's why you're drafting them because you expect them not to be the kind of player they're going to be after their first year. You expect them to get better and better each year. So we expect Zach Harrison to get better. We expect DeMarco Hellams to get better. We expect Bijan Robinson to even get better. We expect that, right? We expect Clark Phillips to get better. We expect Matthew Bergeron, our left guard. We expect him to get better, right? Those we expect these guys to be better this year. So don't always think about you got to add pieces when you got pieces here. So we got starters on this team already, and I hear people say we don't have any. We have starters, right? You want to add depth. You want to add depth to the team. The more depth you have, the better your team going to be because you can count it. It's going to be some injuries, right? But the deeper you are, when you don't lose a step, That defensive line we just talked about, if that defensive line, can rotate, and when you take out Grady and David, and that defensive line is still stuffing the run because Big Logue and Aurora Roro is in there shutting it down, right? You got Contavious Street, you got Eddie Goldman. You already got a great rotation of guys that can come in and wreak havoc on the defensive line. So that's what you're building. You're building the depth. So trust the process, guys. That's what you got to do, right? Stop listening to the talking heads and telling you that the Falcons don't want to win, that they don't have what it takes. Um, they didn't make the team better. None of that true. None of that true. They made the decisions that they need to make based off what the information that they had and the decisions that they decided to make, their convictions that they made, right? In the end, it's their heads on the chopping block, man. In the end, their heads on the chopping block. So we can't make it for them. We can't tell them how our feelings and things like that. We just need to roll with it, right? And time will tell. Time will tell. I can tell you this: the Atlanta Falcons, Coach Raheem Morris, Terry Fontenot, they expect to win this year. They expect to win and be in the playoffs this year. We expect that from them, right? Anything less than them having a winning season this year is a failure, because that's what they should be expecting. And they should understand that you got your quarterback, right? It's if you have your quarterback, yes, you still got to compete. You got to go out. The Falcons does not have a hard schedule. They got the third place schedule, right? Because they came in third place, so they got a third place schedule this year. The Falcons should have opportunity to play really well this year. That's what we expect from them. But trust the process, guys. Let's see how this thing pan out. You love the mindset that Raheem Morris is still in this team. I mean, coming out and saying we ain't picking in the top 10 no more. So that's why we went and got our quarterback, right? We're not doing that from some years. When you say stuff like that, you're instilling that into your whole organization that it's a winner here, right? And we don't think we're gonna win. We know we're gonna win, right? That's the mindset that you need to come out with. And we need to be able to show support, fan base. That's what we do. Um, because at the end of the day, we gonna make no decisions. You go back to my video when they picked Michael Penix. Yes, I was upset, and it took me probably about a day. I'm not gonna lie to you guys, but I get it. I really do. I'm not just bullshitting you guys. I really understand it, and changed my mind completely, especially after I watched the whole draft and saw the vision and what they were trying to do, and then just listen to the coach and how he really believed that how good this team can be, and he really believes that he came to a great situation where he could really put a winner on the field, and I believe that too. So let's see what happens, man. Let's see what happens. James says we trusted the process, Arthur Smith. We sure did. We sure did. And I'm glad you mentioned that. I'm glad you mentioned that, because if you go back to around this time last year, you can go back to my video. Man, I was pounding my fist for Desmond Ritter. Pounding my fist for Desmond Ritter. Guess what? We was wrong. They was wrong. Guess what happened? Arthur Smith got fired. That's the point I'm making. That's my point. If they ain't right, man, they gone. They know that though. That's why you gotta just grow with. They know if they ain't right, they gonna get fired. But they was convicted. Arthur Smith was 100% believed that Desmond Ritter was gonna be able to do the thing, right? We was right along with him. We was wrong, and he got fired because of it. This year, everybody believed that Kirk Cousins is gonna play well. Everybody believed that. I believe he's gonna play well. I believe he's going to be able to do the things he was able to do with his last two stints, right? And if he do that, the Atlanta Falcons will have a winning season. I just believe that. If Kirk Cousins play like he played his last two stints in Washington and in Minnesota, we will make the playoffs. If he don't, consequences. It's results, man. It's results. That's what it's about. It's about winning and losses, right? And it is not going to be on because they didn't pick a defensive player in the first round. Because Kirk Cousins didn't play well. If Kirk Cousins plays well, we're going to be good to go. I promise you that. Gonna watch and see Mike Tomlin, Arthur Smith will be fighting after some crazy plays from. You know what, man? I don't know if you watch Mike Tomlin interview, but um, he said Arthur Smith said he think he got something to prove, man. Um, and I'm gonna be honest with you, I was an Arthur Smith advocate. I really was. Um, I believe it was more Desmond Ritter than Arthur Smith. I'm just being honest with you. I think Desmond Ritter was not a good quarterback, and he got Arthur Smith fired. That's what I believe. Arthur Smith probably did too much with Desmond Ritter because he was not a good quarterback. He probably shouldn't have did as much. He probably should have just ran the ball more and really simplified the game for Desmond Ritter. But Desmond Ritter was not a good quarterback, and he got Arthur Smith fired. So Arthur Smith said he got something to prove, and I believe that they're gonna do good this year, except when they come to the Georgia Dome. Man, we cannot let Arthur Smith come into the Georgia Dome beat us, man. That's like one of my must wins of the season. So when we get to the season, make sure you guys tune in to that show because um, that's gonna be one of my must wins. We gotta beat the Steelers, man. I don't know when this, the schedule come out here soon, a couple of weeks, I think. And we'll know we play the Steelers. But when they come into the house, we gotta beat the Steelers, man. We can't let Arthur Smith come back and beat us. James said this new staff is doing it the right way. I agree with you. John said, "Say, buddy, I don't see Kirk Cousins finishing the season. This young man game now. All team looking for his speed at the defensive line." Ugh, don't say that. Don't say that. Don't say that. Because you know, Atlanta Falcons could be right or wrong if this happens, right? Because if Kirk Cousins get hurt, right, and he can't deliver, well, the Falcons be like, well, they got their future quarterback already on the team. But guess what? They still owe him another $50 million of guaranteed money. So that won't be good. So the best scenario for the Atlanta Falcons in 2024 is for Kirk Cousins to play really well, right? And you know, hold off Michael Penix Jr. That's the best scenario for this Atlanta Falcon team. That's the best scenario for the Atlanta Falcons. I mean, for Kirk Cousins to play well, that's the best scenario, man. So let's just hope that happens, um, and let Michael Penix learn behind him, a pro, because I think we need that, man. We as a fan base, it's been since 2017, guys, since we had a winning season. Can we just have a winning season? That's what we need, right? So let's just hope that happens. So, guys, that's all I have. Thank you guys coming in. That's my draft recap. A lot of great additions. I think Atlanta Falcons at 85 right now, so they got like 5 more roster spots to fill. Right? We'll see the decision they decide to make. Good thing they picked up Kyle Pitt's 5th-year option, so he's here another 2 seasons at least with us. Um, I love the pick we doing. Once again, my favorite picks in the draft is Brandon Dorless and Braylon Trice. That's what I like. Of course, I like Michael Penix, but I'm gonna keep saying it. He ain't gonna help us this year. So just sit back and learn the game, young man. That's what you can do, and hopefully help us, root on us to win. That's what we need. But that, guys, that's all I have. Thank you guys for tuning in today. Um, Definitely come back on Wednesday night when I talk about the depth chart. We're gonna start looking at the depth chart and kind of trying to break down really early roster projections. I'm not going to get too deep into detail with it, but we'll start looking at it and see, you know, this is a new coaching staff, so we don't know, how they value certain positions. Like for instance, I don't think we'll have a fullback on the team this year, right? I don't think we're going to keep that many tight ends. I don't think we're going to keep 4 tight ends. Think we might keep more receivers this year because there's a lot of 11 personnel. So things like that. So some things that definitely is going to change from a roster projection. Also, you look at the new kickoff rule, right? That's definitely going to play a hand on the way they build this roster as well. So a lot of things to look at. Um, so we'll definitely look at the roster, break it down, see where the factors at. We'll look at the depth and see where we think we're healthy at, where we might need to add in certain places and stuff like that. Where we don't think we're comfortable, where they can definitely still do it free agency here and bringing in some more undrafted free agents. So guys, that's all I have. This is your boy Ricondo coming back at you with another video. Peace.